Hello, and welcome to episode number 9 of Ask Matt a Question. Today, we're going to talk about how do I introduce my beneficiaries to what I'm doing. So, most of us have set up these financial plans. We've created a framework to make sure not only ourselves in retirement, but also future generations are potentially taken care of. And how do we share that information with those future generations to make sure they understand what we are intending, and at the same time that they are able to do planning for themselves in how to manage these things in the future. So there's several ways to introduce this to the beneficiaries. One is just directly doing it. I've heard many times they'll take one of our financial plans and just introduce their beneficiaries, usually their adult children, to what their plan is and show them if mom passes away, this is what'll happen. It'll go to dad and then it'll go to you guys. If dad passes away, then it'll go to mom and then it'll go to you guys. Oftentimes, that is enough to let people understand what you're trying to accomplish, how things will get passed, who gets what, all of those sorts of things. However, sometimes that's an uncomfortable conversation and/or there's questions that are left unasked and unanswered by the beneficiaries. Like, why is so and so getting this and I'm getting that? And you may have very specific reasons that you're doing that that would make sense if they were explained, but they're not prepared to ask those questions. And so they get deferred until after things have fallen into place, often causing unintentional, unneeded conflict between multiple beneficiaries. Unfortunately, I've seen this happen many times, and in some cases, it has created a rift between family members that are years in the making and ongoing. And I don't know that we'll ever see a rectification of that problem. So, the second way that you can do that is have myself or another advisor be there with you to not only introduce what we're doing and why we're doing it and how it makes sense to each beneficiary, but they're often more likely to ask me the questions that might be considered a personal question to you as the benefactor, where to me it's more of a business conversation. And so a lot of those questions get asked in that scenario. In fact, in the next couple weeks, I am meeting with two groups of parents and their adult children to introduce them to what we're doing. And in detail, I'm going through their trust and explaining how things get divided, what different scenarios are possible, and what it might look like in each scenario. So, for example, one of the families, if the husband dies, he is the primary manager of the finances. He is the one who accesses everything online, banking, investments, IRAs, everything. And she, at this point, would be a little lost in what to do. And so, conversation one is here's what we are doing if the husband passes away. Here's how I will be able to help you as the spouse. And then here's how your daughter can help in keeping you up to date on these certain things and how we can all communicate once dad has passed away. Now, if mom passes away first, it's a completely different scenario. But in all the scenarios, what happens is the daughter inherits the assets. She is married and has 3 kids. If she passes away, the assets actually transfer to the grandkids, not to the spouse. So this is an example of a scenario where there's some complexity in there that might require some explaining. Why would you skip the husband? And how does that benefit the kids? And all of these different things. So simply put, there's a lot of complexity. There's a lot of questions that might get answered if you're working with an advisor at the time. So I recommend, at the very least, start the conversation, feel it out, see if there's some potential areas of conflict, and certainly reach out to me to help out and get involved with getting your beneficiaries informed. Thank you for your time.